Hello and welcome to Momo Arts TV, a fresh and informative look at key personalities who have made waves in their work. Artists, filmmakers, musicians, actors, CEOs, the ordinary mwananchi and many more. We will also feature key spaces that are pockets of pride for our country, Kenya. These are but a taste of what you'll see on our show. Sit back and enjoy.
Known that they are called Kenyan Somalis until about 3-4 weeks ago. It's very silly. So as this journalist said, no, I'm only doing it for reasons of ethnic differentiation. I told him that word you have used, its synonym is profiling. And ethnic profiling is not a nice thing. Who allows this kind of stupidity? But that's the nature of the beast now.
It's my camera. No, it's been a while, yes, but I'm still in the same place, doing the same thing, trying to teach.
Teaching is the best.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
Yeah, we're trying to teach, yeah.
Are you still in the Department of Literature?
Yes, I am.
I recall a few years ago, when I was at philosophy, they merged it with religious studies.
Which one? Philosophy?
Yeah, before it was separate.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe I was thinking maybe literature has been swallowed or has swallowed something else like linguistics.
No. Yeah. They did merge it with linguistics, but then we kind of negotiated back our identity. So we are still literature. We have performing arts. We teach drama and film.
And I wanted you on this call because I know you have so much to offer. And like in this, we started something called Mau Arts TV, where we try and have some pockets of information from different areas and different people in different disciplines. And that's why I thought of you, because I know the work you've been doing, and we also did a number of workshops in the past, like the time I think
yes,
Garissa.
Yes, Garissa and Nyeri.
Yeah. Yes, and
yeah, I didn't go to Kisumu and Mombasa with you guys, but we went to Garissa and Nyeri, which I still think were probably the two most important community journalism projects we ever did. I think the Garissa one was incredible.
Yes.
Probably we should have some more of these.
Yeah. In fact, as you say that, out of all the ones we did, there's a guy, I don't think you remember him, from Garissa. He was called Ate. He was
yes.
He actually got absorbed a couple of months later by Nation Media House as a producer. And
Arte is the guy. Is he the guy who was in Garissa, but he was born in Mazuri, somewhere in Rift Valley?
I think it's that guy.
Journalism work.
Yes. And you see, by that time, when we were doing these things, we were talking about the old constitution, because that was around 2012, 2013. That was before this county system began. And
yes,
if you are to talk about devolution, and you are to talk about not just resources, even in terms of administration, such things may become easier if there is intention of support from the county government. Because I'm imagining, for example, what we were doing at that time. Imagine it was an initiative taken up by those county governments you are saying, in Embu, in Where, in Kilifi.
Yes.
It's much easier kind of to administer that, what I would say is a parallel education. And I don't know what on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a movement globally to kind of do what you would call education from below, which is essentially you skill people. I mean, what the government, the previous government, I hope the current government is going to continue with it, which is that you build on the skills. So prior learning programs where you build on existing skills. So people are doing all this stuff on social media, etc. But a lot of it is just untrained. Like now, I mean, I read 4 newspapers every day, and it's strange how the language is increasingly just becoming poorer across the board.
Yes.
You know, all the people are in a hurry to write, and they don't understand the implication of communication. Almost all the old rules that govern how media operates just thrown out the window. So somebody reports something, and when you follow up to say, where is the backup, where is the evidence, the people kind of sources that cannot be named, etc. But see, yeah, I mean, that's something that even your organization would possibly want to think about, especially in terms of women journalists. You know, you get surprised how few there are women journalists.
I want to touch on 2 points. And I think you've already kind of jumped into what I was going to ask next in terms of the economy of labor in this industry we find ourselves in. That is the arts in general, and in particular media and journalism, and maybe a bit of communications. You said something about you hope to see more women getting involved in journalistic work. And I would like to ask you, to what extent is the poor uptake a consequence of access or versus a consequence of preference? Because you see, what I've come to observe, again, with the few years I've worked, when you look at young women, young girls who finished high school, they tend to be attracted to, in terms of journalism, they tend to be attracted to more roles such as being TV presenters, being radio hosts. You'd find the women who get onto the ground to do stories are few and far between, not that they are not there. So in as much as, yes, there's an issue of access, is there also another a sociological issue whereby maybe these women do not really want to be the John Allan Namus? They would rather be the Catherine Kasavulis. Because the thing is, if you look at the wider economy, just to use an example to kind of drive this point home, if you look at the work in Mjengo, like today I came from a meeting and there's so much construction in Nairobi. If you observe now, slowly you are finding women going for casual work in Mjengo, or what you call construction work. If you look 10 years back and before, that was almost unheard of, because again, it was not so much a question of access and stigma, which was there, but it was also a question of sociologically or culturally, do these women want to be Mjengo workers? And even right now in the matatu industry, we are slowly seeing women who are becoming touts or makangas and even drivers. Again, yes, I'm not wishing away the challenges women would face entering these male-dominated industries, but we also cannot ignore the fact that given a choice, most young women would rather be the Catherine Kasavuli than the John Allan Namu. I don't know.
I mean, it's the social conditioning. I mean, all these things are about social conditioning. I mean, the system of education conditions people. You have to be exceptional sometimes to break through the barriers, but it's also the socioeconomic realities, in the sense that as more, look, there's something glamorous about somebody appearing on TV to read news. But remember, they're just reading news. They are probably not producing even the news. You get the point. So the reason young women will find that much more appealing is because there's some kind, you know, the idea that the image, you are on TV and you're on TV for about 15 to 30 minutes, and you actually you are seen by millions of people, not just a few people, as opposed to, for example, writing a newspaper article, which will be read by a few people. So it's a social conditioning.
Economy of this area we call the arts. And this is a very blanket area, because if you are even to just pick like our university, the University of Nairobi, I think when I left there, there were 11 departments in the Faculty of Arts. Probably there are a couple more now. Economics had just been included in the Faculty of Arts. So if you look at the arts as an umbrella course that gives these young people access to jobs later after they graduate. And then if you look at the reality on the ground, Kenya, right now, I think you know this better than I do, but I think we are close to 50 million in terms of population. And I know a disproportionate percentage of that 50 million are persons who are quote unquote labor. And these are young people who should be working. But the thing is, these people find themselves out of a job. And now we have the arts, again, I stand corrected, but I think I'm right, as having the highest number of graduates every year. So the question I want to ask you is, in an economy, again, such as the one we find in ourselves in right now, fresh from an election with a new government and a very weak shilling, and it has this big population of youth. And again, back to our area of interest, which is the arts. We have these large number of these voluminous droves of young people signing up in literature, philosophy, communication, sociology, and they'll all graduate. Where will these young people find jobs? Where will
you see? Yeah, you see, universities. There's no day, there's no school you went to that ever told you that after graduating they'll give you work. There's no school globally that offers such a thing. Even technicons, what you would call technical colleges, do not ever offer you work. I mean, the question you're asking is broad, it's complicated. We can't even start to do an introductory statement about it in these few minutes we have. But I'll give you my 10 cents worth of opinion on this. The arts humanize people. They prepare people to start to see the world in its variegated form. The world is very complicated. If you go to one estate, you go to, let's take Buruburu, for example. Buruburu has faces, isn't it?
Yes.
It has faces.
Yes.
And you would be shocked to discover that those faces actually have social class distinctions.
Yes.
So it might have been built, when it's built as a built environment, the imagination was that there's an emerging middle class that will go to Buruburu, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this has transformed. So there are those who went to Buruburu and occupied their own houses and were able to save and probably bought land in Uruma and became like landlords, isn't it? So you go to 5 houses in Buruburu and you can see the transitions, isn't it? So the arts all over the world, you understand? The arts, first of all, they prepare you to understand the world. You see the way politicians are talking about poverty very casually. It's simply because they have not been humanized enough by the school system. And the arts does that. Economics does not resolve economic problems, but it's just to tell you the human behavior when the human beings have money might be influenced by the following factors, isn't it?
Yes.
Sociology starts to tell you that the way the society is structured has implications on the way you will grow from childhood to death, to adulthood, to old age, to death. Literature, yes, literature starts to tell you the value of storytelling. In fact, this entire society is structured on storytelling. So every time you see a politician saying simple things like this country is a company, you understand? And there are first shareholders, then there are others out there. It's a narrative. You understand?
Yes. That is, it's interesting, and it's the same thing with obviously not more than Nigeria, but if you compare the music Kenyans enjoy from Nigeria, it's more than the music Kenyans enjoy from Kenya.
we celebrate Tanzanian artists.
And Tanzania and Bongo flavor.
Yeah. In fact, I have a book somewhere here on the value, the material value of the arts in Africa. It's a book done by a Ugandan scholar. It's incredible. You should look at that. So we have never monetized properly the arts. But one of the things that you should know is that the arts should prepare you to interpret the world. So if you want to be an accountant, it might be interesting to read a little bit of sociology. Why is it, for example, people are reluctant to pay taxes? It's psychology and sociology and politics, not economics. Because people will tell you, I'm paying so much money. How comes I do not see a government development? Like now today I saw, if once I know that my governor is spending more money on recurrent budget. You understand? Paying hangers on rather than repainting the local schools.
The Faculty of Arts, academia in general, and to here with research and development in mind. To what extent to what extent is academia informing policy in Kenya? One. And then the last thing is the comments that I always hear, which is true to a very large extent. Mainstream media is dying. TV is dying, radio is dying, print is dying because of new media, or what we call online platforms or social media. What is your comment on that reality?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about academia involved in informing public policy, for example, almost all these universities now are producing what you call policy briefs. So policy briefs are really academic work on particular aspects of public policy. So the University of Nairobi actually has a publication called Policy Briefs. And you are encouraged, the academics are encouraged to write policy briefs on a number of issues and close the newspaper and go back and read something else for another 10 minutes. So,
or even why can't, for example, because you see, the idea is also to culturally adapt to changing times in a way that is progressive. What if, for example, and I see this in other countries, in Germany, which I've had exposure to, and the Americas, where you'd find even mainstream media houses have publications in the same way university faculties have publications. So you could collate these long form writing from different authors, and every other time, maybe quarterly, you could have a publication from the Star or from the Nation, where I, as Robert, can go and buy for 100 bob, and I get this packaged.
Yeah, absolutely. And a proper analysis of why is it we are always victims of this drought, you understand, would be fascinating.
It's in this last, I know there's always so much to talk about. We'll definitely have more of this offline, but this is something that has been a stone in my shoe, and who better to ask their opinion than you? It seems no one is noticing how Kenya's population is increasing at an increasing rate, and this will have a serious effect in the midterm because of unemployment. And I don't hear any politician, any representative, any senator, any governor talking about population control or how to incentivize very basic things like family planning, or incentivize more information on the unit as a family. It's like we're almost mute on the fact that Kenya is overpopulated, and it's overpopulated with a population that is primarily youth, which means there'll be a mega unemployment problem and all the problems that come with it.
I mean, that's a complex thing. It needs a lot of planning. So there's a Ministry of Planning. I think there's a serious Department of Planning, by the way, in this country. And there's something like this is very contentious. Once you say family planning or population control, the churches are on using it.
Yeah.
Then the politicians are like, oh, so you want to control those who will vote because we receive money based on the population. But if you go to places like Central Province, you go to places like Kisii, you go to parts of Rift Valley, the pressure on land is impossible. Just the pressure on the land, because the land remains the same. The families are just growing. So this is something that you really need to think hard and long about. And probably because the politicians are not interested in that question. So you need a broad range of interest groups, whether it is people who do demography stuff, whether it is the media itself, and whether it's the Ministry of Planning people, to start to say, this is the pressure on land, which is our key factor of production, but these are the likely consequences in the next 5 years if we do.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel, and if there's a person or review you'd wish to see, reach out to us via email. Till next time, bye-bye.